Okay, so I think we are on air. I'm gonna have to see if I can bring up the control panel and how exactly this works, because this is all new to me. So it's gonna take a little bit of work here to make sure everything is up and running the way it's supposed to be. So gonna have to bear with me just a touch while I get everything set up, make sure that the stream is running, that the chat is working, and everything else. So need to see. I think if I could just bring it up on my own channel, maybe that'll work. So see if we can do that. Actually, I think the chat panel is actually up now. So should be up and running. Wait till some people start filing in here and we'll go ahead and get started. So I see there's 3 people now. If anybody's here, are you able to type in the chat just so I can see? Test. I think that's the chat panel, but I'm not exactly positive. So it's going to take me a little while to get used to the new setup, but I'm confident I can do it. I'm not sure how my audio is. How's the audio sounding? Is it good? A little bit loud, a little bit quiet? I hope it's good because I have no clue how to edit it because I'm not sure what any of my settings are. So it's going to take a little bit of work this week. It seems, I mean, it's a pretty nice, okay, good. It seems like it's a pretty nice interface. I know there is a little bit of a delay, so it's going to be a little strange because I know that Blab didn't have any delay, so I was able to type and chat and see everything in real time. So I know that YouTube has like probably like a 5 or 10 second delay, so it's a little bit strange. Other than that, it should be pretty similar though, I have to imagine. There's a way to bring up analytical view of everything, and I'm not sure how that's done, so I'm trying to see if I can bring that up, but it doesn't seem to be really working too well. But I guess it doesn't really matter too much, as long as I know. When I go to my Hangouts, I can bring that up. It shows I got 5 people on right now, so we'll give people a few more minutes to file in, and then I'm going to figure out a way to close out and shrink down the video some. So when we get started at 9 o'clock, it'll actually be there. This should be a pretty good show. I like the discussion on, is churning too big? I think that's a really good topic. I was sitting there yesterday and I was thinking, sometimes it's hard. Like, I've only done this for, whatever, 3 months now. And sometimes it's hard to find a topic every single week to discuss. And, I'm sitting there thinking, like, what do I talk about? And the subreddit in general seems like it's always a pretty good heated debate. So I think that should be a pretty solid place to start. Start some real good discussion. So it's a pretty good idea. Decided to dress up today. So I got my nice shirt on. I think I wore pajamas last time. So that, my glass of, I think it's Basil Hayden. Yeah, I decided to switch over from Blab. I like Blab, but I just wasn't getting, there was a lot of bugs. Like, the Q&A pod was really nice, and the Q&A pod wasn't working. So that was one big downfall. A lot of people couldn't view the show who wanted to watch it because there was just certain problems. The website's really nice. It's just, it needs a lot of work. So for right now, we're going to do the show on YouTube, and then we'll see how it works this week, and then we can adjust accordingly. The show got pretty high upvoted, so hopefully some more people start filing in. Guests, I don't know. Do you have to have I don't think you have to have a YouTube account. Oh, you mean guests as in bring people on? That won't be too difficult, since right now I'm using Hangouts on Air. So with Hangouts on Air, I can bring up multiple people and do all that. I just didn't have time to play around and have people kind of beta test with me this week. So it's just going to be me this week, and then I'll start messing around with that kind of stuff later. But I think I can do like screen sharing. I can do all kind of different things with. I don't know what cameraman is. I don't want to like mess around with this stuff because, yeah, as guest join, yeah, so I can bring in guests, different methods and everything else. Not too bad. I think this is actually people can just call in themselves. So there's all kind of different ways to do things. But anyways, should have a pretty good show. Trying to see where we're at with. It's funny because before a show, I don't usually hang out on Reddit, so if anything ever comes up in the last like hour or two, I miss it. I spent too much time on this freaking sub. Way too much time. So has anybody who's listening right now, have you guys jumped into any of these private groups yet, like this Telegram and Slack and everything else? You know, I've done each of them. I've jumped into 3 different groups that I saw posted up, and it's a real pain in the ass, as I think the easiest way to describe it. Too many people typing, too much stuff going on. It's kind of hard to follow. I like the group on Slack a lot more. I feel like Slack could actually be a pretty nice interface for people. But then Slack is mostly like Reddit, so it's not, you know, it's still not the best. But anyways, it's 9 o'clock, so I should probably get started. So if I'm going to trim the video, I'll trim it down to here. Okay. The video is actually already streaming. It's already recording, so I'm just going to have to cut it after the show's over. Okay. So again, welcome everybody. The weekly show. Change up the name all the time. Travel hacking, this week in churning. It's just a churning recap show for anybody who's new, who hasn't tuned in the past. I basically just cover a couple topics, switch those topics up every week, try to keep content fresh. And this is my first week actually using YouTube. Previously, I used another website called Blab. Just had too many problems with it. Really wasn't feeling it just because of all the issues going on. And I think I can track analytics a lot better with this one. So it should be a positive move. We'll figure that out after a few weeks. The first thing is that since this is a new YouTube channel that I created, I think below the video, there's a subscribe button. If you guys could subscribe, that would be great. And the reason I ask that is because, of course, more subscribers and stuff, just the more kind of, you know, when it comes to social media and marketing and stuff like that, it always helps to have those numbers up. So that would be greatly appreciated. If you guys don't know me, I am DougUp46. I think most people just call me Frank. It seems to be, it's funny is that no matter what I play, Xbox or, you know, this kind of a thing, Reddit, whatever it is, everybody just calls me Frank. I've changed my name up. I have different screen names for everything, but Frank is what everybody ends up calling me. So this week, I figured we'd go ahead and talk about just one of the big elephants in the room is, you know, you see so many people posting and asking questions about, is churning too big? The subreddit, is it too big? A lot of people, the American Express deal was a great example of that. So Dan's deals, which is a, you know, little bit underground. I don't want to say underground, of course they're very popular, but on their forum they have a good bit of content that they like to keep between themselves. And because the community is pretty small, most of that information that they have out there is kept within the community. Of course, through a couple different, you know, reasons or whatever happened, somebody, Dan Steele's had the American Express link on their website, the 100,000 point offer for a few months. Anytime that, you know, anybody in particular was looking to sign up, they would, you know, ask something, and then somebody, one of the members, if they knew them or whatever else the case may be, would, you know, send them the 100,000 offer link. And that went on for a couple months. Somebody random on the sub or on their forums received the 100,000 offer and made a post that simply said, you know, am I supposed to use this link here, and put out the link. You know, within a few hours, maybe 12 hours or so, through various methods, one of the Reddit users saw it and posted the link on Reddit. And then, of course, if you guys don't know that story, within, I think it was about 16 hours this time. So the link made it for 16 hours and American Express shut it down. So this kind of ties into both of my topics tonight. So the first topic is churning too big? Because it seems that anytime something gets posted on churning, within just a few hours, it's completely removed, gone, method destroyed. So I'm not saying Reddit is the only one in particular. That link was published on the Points Guy. It was published on Doctor of Credit was published on just about every single blog. I think Jesse even posted on Loophole Travel. So that blog, that link was posted everywhere, and it was shut down very quickly. But Reddit seems to be the one source of information that everybody can get. You can get any kind of information from. So anytime some of these things get shut down, it seems like you can always source it back to Reddit. So that's a lot of the question is people are upset. A lot of people want the sub to go private. It's the whole mentality of, I'm glad I'm in, but now that I'm in, let's shut it down and let's not let anybody else in. The more people there are, the more, the quicker things will get shut down. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that. And then we're going to switch the conversation here about 9:45. We're going to switch that over to people who had points in their American Express accounts and had their accounts frozen. Why you have to be careful with points, and you can't take things for granted, especially when you have a big point bank. Just 100,000 MR points is a lot. So to have an account frozen where you just got the platinum, that's tough. But there's people out there with 300,000-400,000 MR points through various cards and manufacturer spending, everything else. You got to be cautious about, the possibilities out there, and you have to try to, little your risks as much as possible, limit your risk as much as possible. So those are the two topics I'm going to talk about this evening. Thank you for everybody for joining up. And again, if you guys could make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, just to give me a little bit of bumps up on YouTube, that'd be great. So as I kind of preferenced everything, is churning too big? That's it's a yes or no question. It's a very difficult one to answer. I don't think there is a right answer here. Is it too big? I personally, it's so tough. So, I mean, of course, this is coming from a guy who just spoke to a reporter in Bloomberg, a couple months ago. So, I understand. My mentality is, I have a lot of points. I've done well. And if I can help other people out, new people who are unfamiliar with churning or unfamiliar with how to get these awards and how to travel, the more new people I can help out and get them just one trip overseas, the happier for me. So that's kind of where I stand with it. I like helping new people out, and any way I can do that, the better. I have this show right here. I have, I'm very active on the Reddit community. And I spread out, I blog with Loophole Travel. So I spread out my information, to a good bit of people and a good bit of sources. And I try to help people out. I'm not no super genius by any means. A lot of my information is just the basics. It's just that I know when it comes to basics, I have just about all the basics covered. So I'm not like an expert in manufacturer spending. I can't give you guys the insider secrets, but what I can do is talk about every different point system, everything else. So I try to help people out accordingly. So like I said, I like helping new people out. On the flip side of that is I don't like things getting shut down extremely quick. I mean, when you're talking 16 hours, it's difficult for somebody to post something and me to even, I live on Reddit. I mean, my fiance, I don't know how she puts up with me. I mean, this is like, it's a hobby, but it's like an obsession for me. I live on Reddit. I live on, churning and constantly looking up information. I soak this stuff in like a sponge. But even for me, it's difficult to maybe pick up on a few things because when it gets posted on Reddit, it's killed so quickly. On the flip side of that, what a lot of people don't, the argument that a lot of people talk about where, it's posted on Reddit and it got removed right away. That is true. Things do get removed pretty quickly after being posted on Reddit. However, most all information comes from Reddit because there are so many people. When you're dealing with, I don't even know what size the community is now. So let me just click on churning and go back here and take a quick look at our current count. Right now, you're talking 44,685. So 45,000 members on subscribe to Reddit. I don't know. I forget how to look up stats. Is it just /stats? It's not slash stats. There's a way to look up stats on, subreddits. And I can tell you just from being a mod and everything else that there's like 150,000 people a month, unique people a month on this subreddit. So it's not, there may be 40,000, 45,000 people subscribed to the subreddit, but there are 150, 180,000 people on the sub checking out this information daily. That's a lot of people. I mean, you think about it, 45,000 is a lot. 180,000 or 160,000, that's an extreme amount of people. So, like I said, there's two sides to that. The first side is that once something gets posted, that is going to be, that information is going to get taken down very quickly because so many people have access to the information. The flip side to that is because you have so many people on the subreddit, you're able to get information that you normally wouldn't receive. When I joined, I think that I want to tell you that I believe we had somewhere around 18,000 people, maybe a little bit less than that. So we were a fairly small community. We didn't have to have the flair and we didn't have to have the weekly threads and everything. It was just everybody posting, and you hope that you got an answer within like 3 days. And that's how churning worked. When I first signed up. Now it's like you make a post on Moronic Monday and it's posted 5 seconds before you even asked it. So it's changed dramatically. But yeah, so I mean, churning back then, it was a lot smaller, but I will say that the information wasn't as quality. You didn't have the quality of information as you do now. So back when I was, in my infancy and all this and learning a lot of how churning works and everything else, Moronic Monday questions, Moronic Monday-esque type questions were posted right on the general sub regularly. You'd have to cycle through page by page just to find a quality piece of information. And that's how it was, just because there was a lot. Number one, when I got into it, a lot of new people were just getting into it. I feel like that, and that may not be true, but I do feel like it, because like I said, when I started, there was 19,000 in the first, 3 years that sub was there. And then there was like 45,000 in the last 2 years. So it has grown pretty, dramatically over time, exponentially even. But yeah, just the quality of stuff was nowhere near, like it is now. I can go on churning right now and I can find you a quality piece of information. If I just click on the sub, I'm looking down through here. Oh, look, a weekly churning webcast, 9 p.m. See, that's a quality post. I don't know who the author of that. Oh, that's my post. Never mind. Let's see here. Like the credit union checking bonus, $100 checking bonus, stuff like that is posted all the time. Where there's $100 bonus here and there. Like that didn't exist when I was, when I was just getting into this. This is all brand new stuff. So to find a checking bonus, I had to either make a post that said, "Hey, does anybody know of any checking bonus?" Or I had to like scroll through page by page by page, find something from a month ago, and hope that it's still good. So this is like, that was just the normal everyday thing. So, like I said, there's a flip side to everything. The more people that we have on churning, I think the better information and the more quality information that you're going to have. The flip side to that, and especially because I want to, clap for the mods, and I pat myself on the back as well, because I feel like I played a role in that when I was moderating the sub, is to make sure that information is put into appropriate categories. Easy to reach, easy to access with the sidebar. The new sidebar that we have is great, and that was all MK. MK just redid it one day, didn't even tell anybody, just redid the whole thing, and it's beautiful. And the flair and all the weekly posts and the things with AutoMod, all those little tidbits, and pieces here and there, they really add up to be what I think is a great community for the size. There's a lot of people on there, like whatever I said, 160,000 or so and 45,000 subscribers, but it doesn't feel like it still. I still feel like it feels like a small community. So I hope that makes sense. You guys kind of feel the same way. It still feels really small for how massive it really is. But anytime you're going to post anything, everything is going to be destroyed quickly. And that's the that's the flip side to it, or I guess I said flip side like 1,000 times, but that's the other side to it, is that anything that gets posted could potentially get taken down quicker. Or if there's a manufactured spinning method, such as a Target Redbird and these other things, if it gets posted on Reddit, you can pretty much start your stopwatch, because it's just a matter of time before it gets removed. It seems like, and it's not just Reddit. Like I said, it's not just Reddit churning. It's that once something gets posted there, it goes to every blog, it goes to everything, and then in which case all the blogs generally, and I don't want to say always because that's not the case, but generally they credit the source of being Reddit, which creates more people checking out Reddit and subscribing. And it's just a continuous cycle of things getting shut down quicker and quicker and quicker, and more people getting into it, and you kind of go from there. So I know that I've spoke about in the past, kind of what is the future of churning and where do I see myself in, just a couple years, because I do think that it's an ever-changing landscape, and it has been ever since I came around. Obviously, it's gotten a lot tougher, but yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is an ever-moving landscape. I don't know if these bonuses are going to be around for signups like they have been in previous years, mostly because they, the amount of people in this game and the amount of people signing up is going to start limiting what these banks are going to offer, or who they're going to offer it to, especially with this new Chase 524 rule. If that gets implemented, that's going to be tough, because that really could pave the road for other banks. Chase with the 524 rule is like Colorado with marijuana legalization. They're the first. They're kind of testing things out to see where their apps do. I mean, this could really hurt their bottom line. I don't think it will, and obviously they don't think it will, or they would never have implemented it in the first place. But it could potentially hurt their bottom line. So there is a line to walk, and I feel like if they implement this rule, 524 across the board, and they're very successful with it, all the other banks are going to join up eventually. Or you can be like American Express and just say once a lifetime. Either way. But I think that where Chase is at with the 524, it's a better rule than once a lifetime, because you still can't apply for cards even if it's your first time with Chase, and there's always a possibility of you coming back as a customer 5 years from now, 6 years from now, 7 years from now. So there's the possibility of you returning as a Chase customer because of a sign-up bonus, but there's also, they're eliminating all churners. And as David said, Citi has kind of followed suit with the 24-month part. They have, I mean, Citi is like way far behind. I think Citi is one of the best. Well, Barclays is by far the best churn, but yeah, Citi with the 24-month. I mean, they're kind of following suit, but Chase is with the amount of cards they're limiting to you. Limiting the amount of cards based on past history. I think that's a clear benchmark set that we'll see moving forward eventually. I'm not talking, all within the next year, but eventually that's what we'll see. So it's kind of to roll off some of this is these, or all these different groups that kind of popped up overnight. My feelings on them, what I think of them, and then, kind of go from there. So the whole is the subreddit too big has evolved into, we need a better way for to hand out information. So somebody created a post that basically said, hey, I'm going to create a group called Telegram. And what Telegram is, for people who are unfamiliar, is Telegram is nothing more than, it's like an online group text message, I guess is the easiest way to say it. It's literally impossible to follow. I don't understand people's fascination with it. I think it's a giant pain in the ass. This is kind of what it looks like. I want to make sure I don't have my credit card information on here like I did last last show. So this is kind of what it looks like here. I'm not sure how well this looks on my screen. Let me see if I can bring it up here. And of course, so that's kind of what it looks like, and you can kind of see through here. But there's no organization to it. It's a really big mess. I'm not a fan of it just because things get posted too quick. It's kind of hard to follow. Now, a few other people who have created different telegrams for maybe Los Angeles or maybe like a certain city, this might be a little easier to follow. But I'm still just not really a big fan of the Telegram interface. Now, another member here posted a Slack. So Slack is kind of think of IRC. It's the easiest way to think of it if you're familiar with IRC. So it's basically a chat room. You have a base, like a building. A building, I don't know what you want to call it, a company. I think it's how they reference it, a company, a group. So you have a group, everybody can join this group. And then from there, the moderators can create, kind of forum, different forums, different chat rooms. So you can talk about general, maybe have one about manufacturer spending, have one about, and that kind of keeps everything a little bit more better organized in my opinion. So I do like it. I do like that a lot better. It's a little bit easier to follow, and you can channels is what they're called. Okay, so thank you. Sorry, every time I see something in chat and it's and it catches my eye, I instantly have to stop whatever I'm saying. I'm like, channels, that's what it is. Thank you, Ariel. Like I stop, and I shouldn't do that, but I do, so I apologize. Yeah, so the channels in Slack, and it keeps everything a little bit better organized. I like that a lot better. It's kind of hard to follow these Telegram groups, especially when you have 350 people and not like literally 50 people are active. It just seems like I just scroll through my phone all the time, and I don't know, I'm just not a fan of it. Slack, you can mention people's names, kind of get their attention like you do on Reddit. So different methods like that make Slack really nice. But overall, how do I feel about these groups? I'm a member of a number of groups. So I have churning, pretend spend. I'm on this Telegram now. I'm on this. I'm on a certain Slack group, which I'm not going to give information on all these things. But I'm on Slack. I'm in a few other different groups as well that are quote unquote private. I keep looking for maybe that group that has like the ultimate secret, but pretty much that ultimate secret doesn't exist. So I think that Reddit churning really has like all the information. You just have to be willing to maybe search a little bit harder for it. And these other subreddits and these other groups, the information is a little bit more out front. But really, there's not like a secret group out there that at least I found that has all the secrets to the game, and it's just eye-opening experience. Like it was for churning. When I first came into churning, I said, what the hell is this? And I'm looking around trying to figure it all out. And then, what the hell is this instantly turned into, wow, like I have to learn more about this. And it was an eye-opening experience for me. It was good stuff. Like, I mean, I absolutely loved it. So that was just a whole different experience. All these other groups I've gotten into and I've been a part of and I've looked around, the way I feel about them is, there's a couple tidbits here and there, but there's nothing really that says, man, I'm so happy to be part of this group. I'm going to post here regularly. Like, I would just rather just keep everything on churning. It becomes a little bit easier that way. So, how I feel about them, I feel like there may be something there for the local people. So if you want to start like your LA group or Southern California group and have one for Northern California and have one for different cities or different regions, I feel like there's something to that, because you can have meetups and kind of discuss things in person. It's a little bit more friendly. I kind of like the feel of that a little bit better. But just to have all these different groups and these different methods of communication, I'm not sure how I feel about them. I'm not really a big fan of them, just because I feel like churning has everything that I need. So if you guys are part of any group or whatever else, let me know, and tell me what you think of them, the different Telegram groups or whatever else. David's here says he is part of the Telegram group that he joined for a local, I'm guessing he means regional Um, I like that. Like I kind of like that a lot more than I like, pretend spin and all these other things. Uh, Andrew says, do I still see it valuable to have a word travel separate sub? Absolutely. So, for people who may not be too familiar with Reddit and how it's kind of evolved over the time, we had any word type of questions was just put in churning. And the reason for that is just because nobody posted in churning. Churning, you could check it once a day and the top 5 posts would be the same, day to day. So not really, there was things being posted there, but it wasn't, anywhere near. Well, I mean, I made one post a few months after I joined. I think it had 100 upvotes or maybe 80 upvotes, and it was the #1 post on churning of all time. So that kind of gives you an idea. Now I think like our top one is 400 something. Kind of gives you an idea on where posts were when I joined. So yeah, so all the travel type questions were just posted as part of churning, and it was cool. And as we grew, we just kept getting bigger and bigger. Somebody came up with the idea of moving a word travel to its own sub, and some random guy, I think, was just kind of one of those, oh, I'll do it, just to kind of be the guy. So went and created a sub called a word travel, and had absolutely no moderation on it whatsoever. Just created it, and people started using it, and it started kind of, got pretty big pretty quick. And then eventually the mods over at churning decided just to send all the word travel questions over to that sub because it was becoming too much. So a lot of people were upset about it. Andrew obviously referencing to that time period on the sub. A lot of people were upset because people didn't want a word travel being a separate sub. I personally did not want a word travel being a separate sub either at the time. I thought it was a terrible idea. I wanted everything to be centralized. I liked, everything being in one central place. And then I think that was right around when I became a mod. I helped out with Lumpy and MK and everybody, and I jumped on as a moderator, and we had a vote, and we voted to bring a word travel back into churning. And we did that. And that lasted about 3 days, and I wanted to kill myself. I thought that was one of the worst decisions I've probably ever made, or one of the worst votes I ever made as a moderator of the sub was having a word travel brought back. So instantly, we put a word travel back in its own sub. I love it there now, especially now that we've gotten much, much larger. Having a word travel in its own section, its own sub, is just so much of a better idea. It just makes everything a lot simpler, a lot easier to manage. And even though they're tuned the same, and they really are, and that was one of the biggest debates is, are they tuned the same or are they completely separate? A lot of people said, earning miles is half the equation, using them is the other half. And I still feel that's true today. And that's why I feel like everybody needs to be on a word travel daily, and not, if you see a post that says, how do I get from Boston to Abu Dhabi? Like, you may think, oh, it doesn't, I live in whatever, Wichita, I live in Florida. That doesn't relate to me. It does relate to you because they're getting from North America to Abu Dhabi. So you can look at their points, you can see what people recommend and what the cheapest routes are, and you'll always see people saying, well, yeah, but if you use this airline, you can have a stopover here and there. That information adds up over time. I'm not the very, like I said, I don't know these airline routes in and out. That's probably my biggest flaw right now is I still don't know who has stopovers, who don't. I have to look that information up pretty regularly. But that kind of information helps you stretch your miles. So, 100,000 miles to one person is not the same as 100,000 miles to somebody who knows what they're doing with miles, because 100,000 miles may stretch that out to be, 3 or 4 flights, while another person may get 1 flight out of it. So they are one and the same, and I do recommend that people check out a word travel regularly, because there's a lot of really good information there. So for one good example is like Korean Airlines. Korean Airlines, you can go round trip from North America to Hawaii, round trip for 25,000 miles. So, if you're not on a word travel, you're not paying attention to that kind of stuff, you may not know that exists. So you may spend 45,000, or maybe with Delta, you may pay up to 60,000 miles for the same flight that I'm paying 25,000 miles for. So it is good to know, and they are kind of one and the same, but I am glad they're separate. So I guess there are situations in which churning is too big and stuff needs to be broken apart. I don't feel that these different groups, these different Telegram groups and Slacks and everything, I don't know if that's the way to do it. But I feel like we're at a turning point in the sub again. I feel like we get to these every year or so, and I feel like we're at another one where people are thinking it's a little bit too big. So we're going to see some of these different things pop up and kind of different people experimenting with what. But a lot of it is moderation. I know that a lot of people probably think like, well, what do mods do? They plan, I guess, is the biggest thing as a moderator or a sub. Is you're always planning. You're planning for what's going to come. Like what's there, and that's easy to maintain. It's not that, it's planning for what's coming next. So things like creating a flare system, which that upset a lot of people. I think we only had maybe 40% of people did not want a flare system. Have that vote again, or take away flare. I would love to see how many people demand flare to come back. Once everything is just like thrown in, and it's you can't follow anything, and now it's like you just go over there, you click on manufacturer spend, and bam, there's all your. It's so much cleaner, and it's things like that. It's just thinking ahead. So thinking ahead, even though I'm not moderating that anymore, thinking ahead, I know that it probably is too big, and there are going to be some splits, some different experimentation, things like that. But I do not know if this like whole Telegram group or whatever is the right way to do it. We'll find out. It's going to be it'll be an interesting next couple of months in the sub. Hopefully give us something else to talk about, because it's been pretty slow. So other than the information being out there with like the American Express things, it's been pretty slow. There hasn't really been too many fantastic offers or anything that I've seen. So it's something we have to keep our eye on, and hopefully things start spicing up here in the next couple months when it comes to some of these offers. Something that really stands out. A lot of the cars that we haven't spoken about recently have been thank you points. So I wouldn't be surprised if the city kind of comes out with something that's a little bit nice. We'll find out soon enough. So have another drink of my bourbon here before my voice gives out completely. I'll have 2 sips on that. Now I kind of want to talk a little bit about these American Express accounts that were frozen. Yeah, and now I'm reading the chat, David talking about the Amex Hilton going up and Marriott offer going up. That's true, and there have been some good offers. A Marriott offer 100,000. That's good, but it's not like it was a business card and everything. It's not a great. SVG was a great offer. 35,000. That was certainly some groundbreaking stuff there. So I will say that. But City hasn't really done a whole lot, so I'd expect something there. And what's the whiskey? I have Basil Hayden's is what I'm drinking right now. I like like a better one, but I like something I can easily gain access to. So like usually Blanton's is my go-to, but I change it up every once in a while. So I'm gonna like going back and getting back on topic and talking about this American Express and some of these membership reward accounts that were frozen up. This is really interesting because I can't think of a time really since I've been in this where a mass amount of accounts were frozen, and it has to worry people, and it kind of has to worry you what links you're signing up with and how you're getting access to these links. So it seemed like a lot of these accounts were frozen if you were using a code that was generated for a group of people. Like it was a targeted link that untargeted people were using, and after signing up for it, a lot of the people had their membership reward accounts completely frozen, so they could not transfer out any points or use any points. The biggest thing to remember when you're in churning or any of this stuff is that you do not have any points at any given time. So like, I know that my little flare next to my username says 2.4 million points, and I don't have 2.4 million points. I have 0 points. Every single person on that subreddit or on churning, every single person who has any kind of loyalty program, you have 0 points. That's how many points you have, 0 points. The short of it is that the bank has a boatload of points, and they're letting you access or letting you use X amount of points. So if my membership reward account is 156,000 points, I have 0 points. American Express is just letting me use 156,000 points. This is big because if they decide to close out my account or freeze my funds, they weren't my funds to begin with. I have no legal action that I can take against American Express or Chase, UR, whoever. You know, I can't say, hey, they took my points. These points were worth X amount of dollars. It's not the case because you never have any points. I've seen a lot of people on Flyer Talk. You know, I don't jump on Flyer Talk too often. I think it's kind of a mess. I like Reddit. Reddit is a really great interface. But anyways, I jump on Flyer Talk, and I've seen a lot of people who are, you know, manufacturers spend a lot, and you know, they've brought their Chase cards. They have 250,000 or 400,000 UR points, and they'll get up to 500,000 UR points, and then they log on one day and bam, they have 0 points. Chase has closed out their account, closed all their cards, and have banned them from the you know, Chase program. They have 0 points now. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine having 500,000 UR points? You wake up and they're completely gone. You don't have access to your account anymore, and Chase just tells you, you know, we've detected there was some illegal activity, whatever, some suspicious activity is usually what they say, right? Suspicious, not illegal, it's just suspicious. We've decided to freeze your account, and you're not going to get those points back. You know, yeah, you can try to say whatever you want to say. It's not going to happen. 500,000 UR points, what's that worth? 10,000, it got me more than that, right? $10,000, something like that, $15,000. You can hire a law. You can have an attorney. Your fiance can be an attorney who's great at this stuff. You're not going to fight that. You're not going to. She can work for free. It ain't going to be worth the price of free because it ain't going to happen. You're not going to win this in a court. These points are not your points. Okay, these points are a bank's points. They're just letting you access them, letting you use them, letting you transfer them out. You take 10,000 points from, you know, SPG, and you move those 10,000 points to American Airlines. You don't have 10,000 points in American Airlines. You have 0 points in American Airlines. American Airlines is just saying, okay, we'll let him access 10,000 additional points here. So if American Airlines says, you know, they want to close out your account, again, you're in the same boat. So, you know, that's kind of that's the thing that's really, really interesting when it comes to these shutdowns and these things, that you always have to realize what you have in your hands. My theory is I like to earn and burn. I don't like to store a whole lot. Let me log on to my award wallet because I'm actually interested. How many points do I have unused even at this moment in time? So I'm going to log into my award account. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I mean, I have 700,000 points unused. A lot of those points are in American Airlines and SPG. Those are basically my two programs that I have all of my points in. So American Airlines, I have close to 200,000, 300,000 miles. I'm looking to go to Bali next May. So I'm going to be using, and when I say Bali, I mean, I'm flying Cathay business class over, you know, I'm using all of those miles. And then when it comes to my SPG points, my fiance and I were going to Italy in October. We got that flight. We got that whole flight booked. We don't have a hotel booked yet. So we're probably going to be living it up in at least a 20,000 point a night room. So that's 80,000 for 5 nights. So there's 80,000 there. And then when we go to Bali, we'll probably stay in SPG or something there. So those points go quick. And I don't like to keep them in my account too long, just because, you know, and it's bad PR for any company. It would just be absolute terrible PR for any company to say, if you have X amount of points, we're just going to, you know, suspend your account. So it's not like I don't wake up, you know, kind of worried about if this is going to happen or not right away, just because it can't happen widespread. But if you do have a high point bank, and I'm talking anything over 300,000 points in one particular program, yes, you do want to monitor that. You do want to be careful with it. Use them. That's why you're earning them. You're earning them to use them. So use them if you can. I know I would never keep 500,000 UR points in my account. I would certainly transfer some of those out to a couple different airline sweet spots that I know, and kind of work things over from there. So it is a concern, and American Express I like having these things happen on the occasion. I like having Target on the Redbird days where you would take your credit card and you would swipe for $5,000 and you would get your receipt that says $5,000 and you would go home and your account balance was $0. I like that stuff happening because it really makes you take a step back and be like, oh, damn, like I got to really be careful. I have to really monitor what I'm doing and keep track of all that stuff, because they can do that kind of stuff, with no issue. You think it's hard to take yourself out of the perspective of what you did before churning and kind of where you're at now. But I can't speak for everybody who's in this chat and typing, or anybody who's watching this show right now. I can't speak for all you guys. But what I can say is that I personally know that $5,000 to me is a lot of money. Okay, that's not like, a few bucks. That's a lot of money to me. Like if something happens and I lose $5,000, I am really screwed. Like it's not a drop in the bucket. Like I'm really financially, I'm hit hard. So you have to, but it's funny because that's how things were before churning. Before churning, $5,000 was an extreme amount of money. It was not just now it's like I can go to, I can manufacture spend up to $60,000 a month. It's not very common that I do that, but I can certainly do it. And I used to do it all the time with Target. My God, with Target, I had what, 4 or 5 Redbirds. I was doing 25 a month, 25,000 a month every single month regularly. And you have to remember that these methods can be shut down at a moment's notice with absolutely zero repercussions. Usually money, not so much, but your points certainly can be. But I've seen Visa gift cards, the numbers get stolen. I've seen Visa gift cards that haven't been loaded after you've paid for them. You pay for them for the credit card, they haven't been loaded. People have stolen other people's numbers on these Visa gift cards quick. When I first got into this, I was the type of person who I wrote every single thing in my spreadsheet. My spreadsheet was like, my ledger book of all. I mean, something happened, it was in my spreadsheet. I went to a store, I went to Kroger, and I would buy, or whatever, a Simon Mall, I'd buy Visa gift cards. I would take those Visa gift cards, I would go directly to Walmart and load those up at a gate. It was instantaneous. I would do that. Now I find myself, after a couple of years of getting into the game and kind of familiarizing myself with how it works, I find myself getting a little too comfortable. I'll buy, a couple $1,000s in Visa gift cards. I might load 500 or maybe 1,000, and I'll take the 1,000 home with me and I'll let it sit on my table for, a couple of days or whatever. And I just don't really think about it. I'm like, oh man, I got to get up to Walmart and load those cards. There's a freaking $1,000 sitting on the table. Like what if, my fiance, who is very diligent, don't get me wrong, she's very diligent, but what if she's out there cleaning and she just, looks at this and tosses it? She knows I have Visa gift cards. I have used ones. I keep them in a Trapper Keeper. Wow, is that really? I say Trapper Keeper? Man, show my age. I'm not even that old. Man, I'm still showing my age there. That's a throwback. But yeah. So these, I have a binder filled with Visa gift cards. But yeah, you just start feeling comfortable with everything, and you just have these gift cards sitting around, and as Mitch just said, sitting in his car. Like, that's insane. Would you ever go to a bank, have $2,500 in cash out $100 bills and just sit it in your car? I mean, and just going through your day and not really think, like, man, it'd make you paranoid. What? And you'd be like, I have $2,500 of cash and I'm sitting in my car right now. But when it's a Visa gift card and it's in terms of churning, I don't know, you start getting too comfortable. You start not really thinking about it. I've seen too many people questioned by police. I've seen too many people have stuff come up, and it is concerning. It's something that everybody needs to be aware of. These banks can shut down accounts. Manufactured spending methods can quit like that. No, there's not always, and then the valuations on top of all that, what good is it to have 2 million points or 5 million points or however many points you have sitting around not being used? 5 million points today can easily become, in Alaska's case, if we would take Alaskan Airlines from whatever last month, 5 million points literally just became 2.5 million overnight if you're planning to use them for Etihad Airways. So points can go quick. It's just a thing, you have to be, I don't know, you have to, there's a good comfort level there, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And I'm sure if there's anybody new watching me right now and you're hearing me talking, you're probably like, dude, that is never going to be me. Like, you're reading David's post right now saying there's 20,000 in blank money orders sitting in your middle console in your car. You're thinking like, dude, that guy's an idiot. Like, I would never do that. Trust me, you will become comfortable with this, and you're going to do stuff like that. You're going to leave $2,500 in Visa gift cards sitting in your car. You're going to leave, $1,500 sitting on a kitchen table with all kind of papers and everything else from yesterday's mail or whatever else. Like, it's going to come down to that at some point. So I kind of like when things like this happen. These when American Express freezes, a boatload of accounts across the board, and they freeze everybody's points, because it makes me, even though I have, like, let me jump on my word wallet here, because you guys, I want to make you guys, let me get kind of funny with you guys for a second here. My American Express points, 2,516. So I got 2,516 American Express points. But if my account got frozen and I had 200,000, like, man, I'd be freaking out. Like, that's a lot of points. That's a trip I was planning to take. So I like when things like this happen and it clears up, because it does make you take a step back, realize that, don't take this stuff for granted. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread them out if you can, because you could wake up tomorrow and Chase could say, hey, we were able to track down all the people who signed up for X amount of cards in the past 2 years, and we've decided to shut down all of your UR accounts. Just like Serve, Serve is a great example of that, huh? So Serve sent you out a message, an email, that said, you've been using this suspiciously. We decided to shut out your account. You can no longer load money to it. You don't think Chase or even American Express is Serve, right? So what prevents you from waking up one day and American Express sending out emails and saying, we've detected across the cards that you have on your account some suspicious activity. We've decided to close out of all your MR accounts. It could easily happen. I mean, it's not likely, just because these banks have to deal with PR and they got to deal with the press and everything else, and it's just generally not worth it. And you don't want to piss off customers. I mean, your idea is to keep bringing in more, but we take advantage of a system. That's what we do. There's no, you can put all the butter on it you want, and you can make it sound, like you're Robin Hood or whatever, taking from the rich and giving it to the poor. But the fact is that you're exploiting a system here, and these banks can do what they want with you. You're at the mercy of them. So you better thank them every day you wake up and you still got your point balance, because as American Express showed you, that's not always the case. So I think, that's basically what I wanted to say. I think that kind of covers both topics fairly well. I hope you guys got some use out of it. A little bit different, not having anybody here to kind of talk with. I didn't have a question and answer spot. I just kind of have a chat thing up. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat here, because, for the next 10 minutes, I like to answer questions. So if you don't have questions, then I just have to ramble for another 10 minutes. And I'd rather try to, if you guys got some stuff to talk about, I'd rather, do something like that. So that's kind of where I'm at. Garvey says, if a bank shuts you down, you have a checking account with them, did they take all your money? No, they can't do that. that actually is illegal. So they can indeed shut down your checking account, but they will have to send a cashier's check with whatever your balance was in your checking. That's not the same with credit cards. So like I said, it can absolutely shut down your UR points and take your UR points away from you, or give you, no access to them. That certainly is a possibility. So you do have to be careful for that. Ariel says, do you have any experience with reloads and loading them with Netspin? A little bit, just a little bit, not a whole too lot. I can't really comment on much of it. To be honest with you guys, and you guys should let me know what you think about in the chat. David already saying, and he likes Blab better. I personally like Blab better too. I don't know. YouTube just didn't quite have the interface I was really hoping to get. But it is what it is. So the next question, or I guess my next point is, I'm thinking about the nice thing with YouTube, and the reason I like YouTube is that I can break. I have a good archive of my past videos here. So Blab kind of sucked with archives. You could see the replays, but they just weren't good. YouTube, of course, is just YouTube videos, so not bad at all. I like YouTube because it has much better analytics. So if a situation comes up and say like there's somebody wanting, how many people actually subscribe or whatever else, I can give that information. And I know I said it before the show, and I'm going to say it again after the show. If you guys haven't, please subscribe to my channel on the YouTube button. I don't know where the button's at, but it's somewhere down here. Please subscribe, because like I said, it helps out with a lot of my, gives me a good idea on my analytics on who I'm reaching out to and how many people, things like that. So I'd really appreciate that. But the analytics are much better with YouTube. The archiving is much better with YouTube, and I feel like it's just a much more universal format. Everybody has a YouTube app on their phone, whether you have Android or Apple or even Windows, or if you're still on one of those ancient Blackberries, you probably still have YouTube. So that kind of stuff is nice, but I guess depending on which platform I use is kind of irrelevant at the point right now. I'm going to experiment for a little bit, but one of my big thing is, what do you guys think about? Here's where I'm at, and my point is, I don't know if I want to call it multiple shows, but I want to create multiple shows. I like having this show here to kind of recap some of churning and Reddit, and if some of the two biggest topics, I guess, from the past week, and kind of covering some of that stuff. I also want to have another YouTube show where I go over just the basics of Reddit and churning and how to get into it. Kind of talk about different credit cards and what the different perks are, things like that. I like Jenny here. Like, I look nothing like what I thought I would look like, but sound exactly like I thought I would. I don't know, what do you think I look like? Like, it's always really interesting is that people, you try to judge people on how they look or how they talk based on like a community forum where it's just a screen name dug up 46. So yeah, I'm thinking about splitting my show apart into, and having maybe a couple different shows. The only problem is time. Okay, my biggest thing is time. I spend too much time doing this stuff as it is. This show here takes about an hour and a half of in my day, of my day, or my week, I should say. I generally jump on here about 8:45. I'm usually on here till about 10:15. So there's that side of things. But I do want to have a show for new people for multiple reasons, because I think that, for new people, even Reddit can be overwhelming. And I know that's kind of silly to say, because you look at it and you're like, man, it's like the most noob-friendly thing ever. But when you actually start to take a look at it and really think about it, if you can put yourself back in his shoes, you have so many questions that are just hard to answer, and it's tough to it's tough to find anything on Reddit. Even though there's the sidebar and there's some great information, it's still hard. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just my time of the day. I mean, I don't get paid to do this stuff. That's the thing, If this was a full-time job, if I put like a donate button up and I can make $100 a show or whatever it is, even $20, I would do this day and night. My problem is that, like I said, I got a job I do, and then I got my fiance in there. She puts up with this, so I appreciate it all, but so that's, it's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm thinking about trying to change up a couple different shows for some new people and kind of go from there. I'll keep everybody updated. The thing is that the other problem I run into, so like my problem last week is that I had to, um, I had to cancel last week's show. So what I have going, I had engagement photos. I know, right? Engagement photos. Like I didn't even know such a thing existed pretty much until I found out that it existed and I had to do it. So I had like a little photo shoot session, but I couldn't make it back in time. Plus there was a Penguins hockey game on. I'm a big Pens fan, so it's tough to get me away from the TV when that happens. Um, Regardless, so some of the biggest problem, I guess one of the biggest problems is that churning is not, it's not a news site. So it's not for me to post up, hey guys, check me out, or check out my thing, my web show. That's not what it's for. I'm really appreciative that the mods allow me to post my link every week. And I've come to an agreement with the mods that I'm only going to post once a week. So I post a link up at whatever, usually around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. I post a link up, and that's the only post that I'm going to make about my webcast all week. You will not see me mention the webcast on churning. And I feel like that's the closest to fair for me as we can get, because if I start posting about webcasts, other people will start. It's just an endless cycle. So I'm really appreciative that they even let me post the first link up there. But then when a situation comes up like the show is canceled where I can't make it in time, it's like I can't post on churning and say, hey guys, my web show is canceled this week. Like, it sounds ridiculous. I don't know. I just I didn't know if I was going to be rescheduling it. Like, it was canceled for Monday, but what if I was going to be able to do it on Wednesday? So I didn't want to post on Monday, because I did like I said, I did come to an agreement that said there will be one post a week. So I didn't want to post on Monday saying I can't make it, and then not being able to post a link for Wednesday saying a show is rescheduled. So I just decided just to not post it, which some people ask some questions, but hopefully everything got taken care of there. It's just the kind of things that you have to consider. This is not my subreddit. So, I'm like I said, I'm lucky enough they let me put a show up there. The last thing I guess would be is I am making my own website. So you can kind of see my YouTube name on here is unexploredrewards.com. That's my website, what it's going to be eventually. When I say that I'm working on a website, what I mean is I purchased it, I paid for it, I paid for like, $200 to get everything started, and then I've done absolutely nothing with it. So at some point down the road, I am going to have a little small website. It's going to post up, some of these videos and kind of news, things like, just for people, because I do have some people who like to follow me. So, or, follow, I don't want to say follow me, but follow the show. So I will post, news updates, kind of a news feed there. I think that's one of the easiest way to really do it. I'm going to try to go through these questions really quick here. I see there might have been a couple people post something. What do you recommend on what communicating on churning to get real loophole off the main internet? I'm not sure if I follow you. What do you recommend on what communicating? I don't know if I've had too much bourbon. I don't think. I mean, my glass was full. It's about empty now after the show. It's an hour. I drank a pretty tall glass of bourbon. You're going to have to explain yourself a little bit better there, David. My bad. So if I, look down through here. Austin says go Lightning. Man, I can't even hate Austin. Lightning, Tampa Bay is playing very well. They're a good team. I tell you, the thing with Pittsburgh is that they've played an excellent series and they've played really well, and they've played an excellent playoff. And I think they've shown themselves how good they are, but they have not shown themselves how good they are against Tampa. I don't know if it's Tampa playing good D or Pittsburgh just not playing well, but it's one of the two. Seem to argue both sides being too large. Where do you land? Oh, okay. So where do I land? Steven's talking about where do I land? Is churning too big or is it not too big? It's a really, really tough question. I don't know. I don't know if there's a clear-cut answer. It is too big because stuff is killed instantly. But it's really nice because there are so many people that post information that you would not otherwise receive. So if churning had 10,000 people, let's say, hypothetically, we made churning private when I joined up 2 years ago. How many people in this chat, David, Mitch, Austin, Steven, how many of you guys would be here? If when I joined up 2 years ago, I made a vote that said, hey, let's make churning private. How many of you guys would have been a member of the sub 2 years ago today? We're talking 2014 in May. So that's the first question. And you're going to see that like a lot of people, I would hope you're going to see, because I know there's a little bit of a delay, but I hope that a lot of people you're going to see is that a lot of people wouldn't be here. So, it kind of sucks that if it is too big and you make it private, a lot of people aren't going to be a member of the sub. So think of yourself, think of anybody else. When you're saying it's too big and you're saying you want to make it private, if I said the same thing 2 years ago, look, I mean, there's all the feeds are all coming in now. Nope, no way, it wouldn't be here. So exactly, Mitch says he would. So it'd be me and Mitch. We'd be like one of the two guys on here. But that's my point, is that if this sub was made private 2 years ago, nobody would be here and you wouldn't be here. So it's, I understand that, it's getting too big or whatever, and that's how you feel. But, maybe 2 years from now, it's very similar. The game is very similar to how it is now. The credit cards are the same. The offers are the same, and we have 40,000 people. Now we have 80,000 people, and there's a whole bunch of new information. Like I said, it's tough because I understand the stuff is killed much quicker when it's posted on Reddit, but you have 160,000 people out there looking at information, looking at forums, finding the 100,000 American Express links that they can come and post back, because who doesn't want to be cool on Reddit? Like when you find something, you're like, man, I want to post that. So you're able to go over to post on Reddit. It's things like that it's really big. It's very important for people. Information that you would never receive anywhere else, Dan's Deals or wherever else. You'd have to be a member of 1,000 different forums and look at them daily to get the information that you get on Reddit. So is it too big? Yes, it is too big because things are killed instantly. Is it too big? No, because I get information that I would never get otherwise. I just have to jump on it quicker when I see it. Benjamin, do I know what the American Express freeze was trying to do, and did it accomplish that? Love the show. Thanks, man. Appreciate the show. What did it do? What did it do, and what did it accomplish? It's a very good question. I don't know. I think what it was is that they probably froze the accounts originally once they realized that a targeted link was sent out to a bunch of people. So they probably looked at anybody who applied with X link. And I'm not talking to one on Reddit. I think it was a different one with a different code. If you applied for that link or applied with that link, they froze your account. And they probably froze it while they had a discussion of what the hell do we do? And then they simply realized that there's probably nothing they can do, because if it is a targeted link and it went to other people, you're probably going to have to honor it, and not have to honor it legally. But again, from that PR kind of standpoint, I don't know. I don't know what the end game was, or whether maybe they were just having problems with some accounts. That's possible too. I mean, I work for a school. I'm a technology coordinator for a school district. We have a filtering service to our email. The filtering service had one server go down, and when that server went down, about 20% of our students had no email. Not everybody, just 20%. So stuff like that can really happen. You never really know what the exact end game was or why it happened, or if it accomplished it. Did I read up on the Dan Deals thread? I did. I read up on the Dan Deals thread. Somebody posted it. I think when the offer was originally posted, somebody like far down in the comments said, asked, where did you get this link? And somebody else replied with Dan's Deal. So I did read the thread and I tried to follow up on it, but I believe it has since been deleted, or at least, the information kind of got stagnant there. Dan's Deals, again, it's another one of those communities where they seem like they have some good information, but trust me, people on Dan's Deals, they get 90% of their information from Reddit. It's just the way it is. Like I said, when I leave the show, right, pretty soon, it's already 5 after. When I leave the show, I don't want people to think like there's a secret group out there who holds all this travel information and know all the secrets. That's not the case. Like, it's a bunch of tidbits of information. There might be some groups that know, locally they may know a really nice thing, or even nationally they may know a nice thing, but it's like one or two things. Nobody knows. It's not like I don't think there's any one group out there with like a pocket full of secrets that's just like, oh, let me cycle through my secrets here. Oh, I think I'm going to manufacture, spend $100,000 this method. It doesn't work like that. Like every group, these closed groups, they may know a method or two, but that's about it. Oh man, this guy here putting me up for it. Oslin. Biggest challenge I faced on my travels. I don't really know. I haven't really traveled too much, honestly. I mean, I act like I've been here forever, which I've been here for a couple years. I know a good bit of like I said, the basics, but I really haven't redeemed a whole lot. I've got a lot of domestic trips. I've been to like 40 different states. But when it comes to countries, I've been to just Jamaica and Japan. So my biggest challenge when it came to my travel was probably just navigating around in Japan. The train stations were a little bit tough because like I know where I wanted to go, but I had no clue how to get there. And when they have like 50 gates, it's really difficult. The one of the plus sides to Japan is that everything is written in English, so it's not bad that you can usually navigate. But if you don't know where something's at and you have to ask somebody, that can cause some problems. I really didn't have too much bad luck though. I think it was all pretty uh, easy to navigate. Taxi drivers were by and far the toughest part of Japan. So you get in a taxi cab, and like the Ritz-Carlton is where I stayed at in Kyoto. The Ritz-Carlton is called the Ritz-Carlton. Okay, there's nothing, right? It's an English name, so it's the Ritz-Carlton. So you get the cab, and you say Ritz-Carlton, and the cab driver looks at you like, "What the hell did you say? And who are you?" And then you're Ritz Carlton. Like you really try to slow it down, and he's staring at you like, "Dude, I don't speak English." So you have to bust out a map or something on your phone, and you're pointing. You just keep pointing, and then eventually he's like, "Oh, Ritz Carlton." Like, yes, Ritz Carlton. That's what I said. Like the first 5 times, that's how it is. Like taxi drivers were by and far the toughest part of Japan, of just getting around. Tokyo too, because I stayed in the Andes, which is an amazing hotel. So if you guys are looking to go to Tokyo, stay in the Andes, and if you're looking to go to Japan and Kyoto, stay in the Ritz. I felt like that trip was just the most magical trip. I mean, I could not have planned that any better. We had first class flights, business class flights on Japan Airlines, Ritz Carlton, Andes. Oh my God. Anyways, the Andes, getting around to Tokyo. Oh man, you try Andes Hotel, and then you're like, they just look at you, and then you show them on a map, but it's freaking Tokyo. I mean, it's like 4 times the size of New York. So they're looking at this map, like where the hell is this intersection at? It is so tough. I tried to I tried to show them a picture of the building. That's what really did it for him when it came to the Andes, because it's the tallest building in Tokyo, and it's really just different looking. So I showed him the picture of the building, and it was like, oh yeah, Toramon Hills or whatever it's called. So yeah, some of the stuff in Japan, but it was like all part of the experience. I absolutely loved it. Didn't get around, didn't have a problem with it. How did I get to Kyoto? It cost me $250 round trip for the bullet train. Easiest way to get around is the JR pass. You have to have a JR pass, especially if you go to Kyoto. So Kyoto from Tokyo will cost you round trip $250 on the train, or you can just get the JR pass, which costs you $300, and you get unlimited travel for an entire week in all of Japan. So we used the JR pass for a lot of the local rails, which got us, from Kyoto Station down to Ashiyama, I forget what it's called, like where Bamboo Forest is at. We used the trains to get down to Nara so we could explore some of that region down there. That's all about like the local trains, what we use a lot of it. And the best part is that I used my Barclay Arrival card. I had 70,000 points in that. So I was able to take my points from the Barclay arrival and apply them toward the JR pass, which the JR pass didn't come up as travel, but I called in, I explained, what I was using the points for. It was for a JR pass. It was a legitimate train expense. And then they allowed me to use my arrival points right toward my JR pass. So I ended up getting the JR pass for free, hotel for free, Ritz-Carlton Andes, my flights, or my flights first class and business class, all in Japan Airlines, all that, all free. I think my taxes were like literally $80 a person, so $80, not bad. All right, guys. Well, it's 10 after. Show's really gone on a little bit further than I usually go. Here's the kicker: is that usually I stick around and I kind of go off the topic for a little bit. But number one, it's already 10 after, so I'm already past that anyways. And number two, I don't know if I can stop the recording but keep the show going here. So I'm going to go ahead and end this show right now. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, I do ask to subscribe if you haven't, just because. What you say, Pinky? What did I don't have a CSP referral. What was my Pinky? Was I drinking with it or something? Is that what it was? Was I drinking my whiskey with it? I don't get it. I don't understand what I did with it. Anyways, yeah, subscribe to me just so I can keep track of who's watching my other one. I don't get it. What is, man? I have no clue. Thanks, man. Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Andrew, appreciate it. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in. I need to do some of these I need to do like an after-hour show or something where I just get completely, shit-faced drunk talking about churning. That'd be a lot of fun, huh? So I think that's going to happen. Do I have another channel? Yeah, I have all kind of YouTube channels. Are you kidding me? I've got channels where I have weather. I'm a huge weather fan. So I was a storm chaser. I've seen a couple tornadoes. Seen a couple cities get destroyed by tornadoes. It was sad. I've got that. I've got my channel of just random shit that I post on YouTube all the time. And I think that's about it. I think it's just 2 more channels. But you don't have to subscribe to those because I don't really care. Just subscribe to this one. All right, guys. Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in again. We'll see you here next week. Please check back in, and we'll be here 9 o'clock every day. Thanks, guys.